We're on track to see more active listings in the Greater Toronto Area by the end of December than any other year going back to 2008. That is over 16 years. Sales, on the other hand, while increasing over the previous two Decembers, are still lagging the long-term average. And what about prices? Well, they are flat for now. Throw in some political uncertainty going forward, and 2025 should be a wild year. If you're wondering how this affects you, you're in the right place. Hi there, I'm Rob Marsiglio, a realtor out here in Durham region serving the entire GTA. And I'd like to bring you informative, actionable insights into the Greater Toronto Area real estate market every single week on this channel. So if that's something you enjoy, please consider subscribing. Enough of that though, let's get into some of these numbers. December is usually the quietest month in Greater Toronto Area real estate. And while that is definitely the case from a lot of perspectives this year, from the active listing side of things, it is not so much the case. Today we're diving into what is happening with active listings, how are sales responding, what is happening with prices, what will this political uncertainty do in 2025, and if you are a buyer and a seller, how it all affects you. Let's get started with our standout stat being those active listings. So by the end of December, we are on track to see the highest number of active listings since 2008. Like I said, a 16-year high. It's telling us that sellers are listing their homes, but buyers are really still holding back, at least to some degree. Here is where we stand as of December 17th. You can see just shy of 19,000 active listings across the Greater Toronto Area per TREB MarketWatch criteria. December 2008 was the last time we were anywhere near this level, and in fact exceeded it, just shy of 22,000 by the end of December 08. Every other December though is somewhere down in these troughs, down in these trenches of the data. So you can see that we've really never even come close to 15,000 active listings in any other year, with the exception of 2008. When we factor in the expiries and sales that I project to happen by the end of the month, I think we'll end up with somewhere around 15,500 active listings. So I redrew that red dotted line to show you where that stacks up. And you can see still shy of almost every single December, every single January going back to 2008. With the exception of these busier peaks in the market. Quick side note, this really does highlight just how tight the market was back in 2001. When people said there were not a lot of listings out there, they were not lying. Active listings at the end of any given month never really even exceeded 12,500. So while 2008 is the last year where we saw numbers even resembling what we're seeing right now in December, that was really all sparked by the global financial crisis. This year, it's different reasons. It's higher borrowing costs, it's affordability concerns. There's a lot of buyer hesitation out there for a number of reasons that are really kind of quashing consumer confidence and really slowing the market down from a sales perspective and leading to that listings buildup. Speaking of sales, let's talk about those numbers now. Well, we're seeing more homes sell compared to the last couple years, the last couple Decembers, which are these kind of low points on the chart. You can see that we're well shy of the December average going back to 2008, which was just over 4,700 sales. I'm projecting we end up somewhere at around 4,000 sales this December. So again, 2023 was slower, 2022 was slower. Then you have to go back to 2012 to see kind of similar numbers, and then 2008 was much slower than even what we're projecting to see in December of 2024. So this shows us that buyers are out there. They're out there increasing amounts from the last couple of Decembers, but they are still being cautious relative to history. They're waiting to see what happens with borrowing rates. Where does inventory go in the new year? Will there be more opportunities for them? And the result, like we said, is this buildup of inventory, especially compared to recent years. It's sellers that are having to compete for buyers' attention, which is a big flip of the script from what we saw in the few years leading up to 2022, where it was buyer competition just competing for really no inventory right throughout the year. So if we're talking simple supply demand and we know that active inventory is up and that sales are down relative to previous Decembers, you'd expect that prices would be starting to come down long-term trend-wise. But the curveball is that is not really the case. Now, sure, when you take a zoomed in look at CREA's benchmark prices for the Greater Toronto Area, the benchmark composite price, you can see that prices have come down from last November by about $13,000 right across the board. This big spike does look pretty nasty, followed by a big correction, but really, this is all seasonal. We're only looking at about a $60,000 spread here between the bottom of the chart and the top of the chart. And when we zoom out here, you can see the reality of how the last couple of years have played out. So from November 2022, when we saw a benchmark price of just over $1,070,000, we're now down to $1,060,000, still well up from the start of this chart, which goes over here to January of 2020, We did peak out before the big correction in early 2022. But again, I would call these seasonal ebbs and flows. And then to take it one step further and just break it down by market area. Again, this is composite prices right across the board of York, Toronto, Peel, Halton, and Durham region. A similar pattern everywhere, right? The big run up to the peak of the market in kind of February, April, March 2022, followed by the correction, and then back to that seasonal movement of prices. And from a price perspective, it feels like a balanced market. It doesn't feel like sellers have the upper hand and you're seeing massive price increases. It doesn't feel like buyers have the upper hand and you're seeing massive price decreases. Sellers are still patient to wait for their price, but buyers are not greedy and just paying hand over fist for any piece of product that comes to the market. And the last big curveball to all of this is something I alluded to, kind of that political uncertainty, big shuffling going on in parliamentary cabinet right now. Over the last couple of days, we've seen the housing minister, Sean Fraser, step down. We saw Chrystia Freeland resign kind of moments before releasing the fall budget presentation. And then we've even heard that Trudeau's considering his options as the leader after Chrystia Freeland quit yesterday, saying he may resign. So that puts a lot of political uncertainty out there. Political uncertainty can lead to economic uncertainty. Economic uncertainty leads to reduced buyer confidence. And as I've already said today, buyer confidence is a massive driver of the greater Toronto area real estate market. So if confidence is down in 2025, could lead to a bit softer market than we are projecting. All this being said, I want to attack this from the buyers and the sellers perspective. If you are a buyer who's been waiting, is this the moment for you to act? So we do see a 16-year high in active inventory for this time of year. Sales are still relatively suppressed, so there's a little bit more selection out there for you. But I'm not so convinced that prices are going to take off. Don't act out of panic in early 2025 if the market does pick up. We're used to seeing that in the spring. I want to see something way out of the norm before I tell you, hey, the market is gone again. At that point, it may be too late, but I'm not saying to act with a sense of panic as a buyer right now. Negotiate still, drive hard bargains, get your best price. If you're a seller in this market, it's really the exact opposite of what I just said to the buyers watching. You're competing against a lot of other listings potentially. So you need to shine both in price, how you're showing that property to attract these buyers to you, understanding that sales levels are still suppressed. Again, listing prior to everybody early in the spring market may be the best strategy for you, but talk with your sales representative about what the best strategy is in your area. If you do not have that sales representative and you'd like to pick my brain, happy to book a chat with you. There's a link in the description of this video to my Calendly. Please feel free to book a call, whether you're buying, selling, just interested in learning a little bit more about your area. I am always happy to chat. And again, be sure to subscribe for weekly updates just like this one so you don't miss anything going forward. And let me know in the comments below, how do you see early 2025 playing out? Do we see bigger price corrections coming? Do we see the market getting back to more balance? I want to know what you think in the comments below. Bottom line, it's going to be an exciting year for all the factors that we discussed in today's video, being inventory levels. What do they do? Will sales get back to normal? What is going to happen with the political landscape in Canada? Do buyers get that confidence back in the new year? I appreciate you sticking with me through to the end of another video. Till we speak again next time, please stay safe and cheers.